If you've gotten a shiftinglands.com tool in the mail and you're a little intimidated about putting it together, this video is for you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Black Magic Craft. This week I want to touch on an issue that I see pop up fairly regularly, and that is some people's intimidation to assemble tools from shiftinglands.com. When these tools ship to you, they come in a bunch of different pieces, packaged up, and with instructions that are not necessarily the best, and it can be kind of intimidating to put together, especially when you've invested some decent money into buying these tools, and if you're not really that comfortable assembling wood or MDF projects, it can be a little daunting. So today, I'm gonna finally get around to assembling my Guider Pro 2.0. You guys have been seeing me use the regular Guider Pro for a long time on this channel. I actually had this one the whole time and I never got around to assembling it. And the reason for that is simply that I wanted to use and test the basic version first for a long time before using this one to see if this one is considerably better. I wanted that experience to compare it to. So today I'm gonna assemble this one. Well, I already did. We're gonna go back in time and you're gonna see me assemble it. But first, let's quickly discuss the difference between the two. These are the same tool, they perform the same duty, and that is to give you a better quality, higher rip fence for your Proxxon hot wire table. I don't think I need to say why they're so great. You have seen me use them in almost all of my builds over the past year. This thing is awesome. So why is there a 2.0? What is the difference, and is that difference worth it? These are both the same tool essentially, but one has slightly more features. So what's the point of getting the 2.0? Well, there's three key differences or improvements on this one to the regular one. One is the length of the rip fence. As you can see, the regular Guider Pro has a significantly shorter rip fence than the 2.0. And this is helpful when you're trying to rip big pieces down. The nice thing is that with the 2.0, you can actually remove this. It slides in and you can use it or you cannot use it. Generally, you're gonna keep this on, but the reason it's removable is to expose this channel. Now, this channel is important because on the Proxxon hot wire table, you can adjust your wire at various angles. With the regular Guider Pro, you couldn't adjust your wire to do an angled cut while still using the rip fence because it would just hit. This channel allows the wire to angle through, and this lets you do rips with a taper while still using the Guider Pro, and that's a really nice feature. The last addition is this little channel here, and what this channel does is it allows you to do wider rips on the Proxxon. This little channel is a place for the arm to go into so you can get a little bit more width out of your cut. Are these three features worth the extra money? Well, the extra money is about 10 bucks. If you are a really casual user, you probably don't need these features, but if you're a really casual user, you might not need either version. If you are investing in a better improved rip fence to improve the quality of your tool, I think you might as well spend the 10 bucks and get the extra features, because then you have them whether you use them or not, especially since these are shipping from overseas for those of us in North America. If you're paying for the shipping, you might as well go all in and get the slightly improved tool right off the hop. That being said, the regular Guider Pro is awesome and I've been using it for like a year. I really have no issue with it. I'm gonna switch to this one now because why not have those features available to me? Now that you know the difference between the two of them, let's assemble this bad boy and hopefully ease some of your fears when jumping into putting one of these things together. The first thing I recommend doing after unwrapping one of these tools is to separate all the pieces and compare them to the instructions to make sure you actually have every piece needed to assemble the kit. Now, I gotta admit, even as a lifelong carpenter, I was pretty confused by the first step in the instructions. It tells you to use the 2 pieces of MDF to set where you glue the little strips. What was really confusing here is that the black and white image made it hard to see the layers of MDF. It appeared that when these instructions were made, I think the long rip fence piece was actually the same length as the other piece, and I didn't really quite know where to line these up. It was pretty confusing. After really thinking about it and how these pieces were supposed to go together, I realized that I wanted to line the bottom edges up flush, and I just decided to center the one piece on the longer piece and kind of hope for the best, but it turned out that is what I needed to do. Then I could actually start gluing this thing together, and I'm just using regular Elmer's white glue, PVA glue. You can use carpenter's glue, it's a bit stronger. When you're gluing together flat surfaces of wood, it's best to try to evenly coat that surface with a brush and kind of slide it back and forth when you place it, and that will create an incredibly strong bond once that glue cures. And the way this assembly works is that you glue the 3 smaller little channel pieces using the other piece as a guide, and then you take the wider strips and glue them on top, and this creates a little sandwich effect that will hold this part of the extra rip fence in place once it's all assembled. And I really recommend letting the glue on the first 3 pieces dry before adding the second layer so that they don't move around when you're trying to attach these upper pieces. All of these steps here would be non-existent on the regular Guider Pro, as that one doesn't have this feature and it's a much simpler build. And then it's time to assemble the other half of the rip fence, and it's really important that you dry fit these pieces first to understand how they go together, because if you do this wrong, you can create a mirror image of this tool that does not work properly. Then all 3 of these pieces get glued together at the same time using PVA glue. Again, important to use a brush to give an even distribution of glue. When you put these together, some excess may squeeze out, and just take a wet paintbrush and wipe away the excess. This will give you a nice clean bond. It's important that all 3 of these pieces are glued together at the same time so that you can move and adjust them. If you just glue the 2 uprights first, they could be glued in at the wrong angle and cause you some problems later. So glue them all together and then use a carpenter's square to ensure that the rip fence is sitting perfectly 90 degrees to the bottom part of the guide. All you have to do is lay the guide flat on a table and use a good quality carpenter square to check that angle. You can actually throw a small clamp on one spot here to hold it together as the glue dries. And while you wait for that glue to dry, you can assemble the handle, which is really easy. You just take the PVC pipe and slide it into the 2 brackets. I don't bother gluing this part because the friction fit is pretty strong on its own. After that glue has had a good amount of time to dry, I'd say at least 30 minutes, you can move on to gluing in the handle. Again, just use the regular PVA glue, spread it with a brush, and slide it in place. To make the tool more durable long term, you can use some PVA glue to reinforce all the seams. Just take your bottle and squeeze out a bead along all of the seams and brush it smooth with a wet paintbrush. Now for what may be the most crucial part of this build, attaching the guide rail at a perfect 90 degree from the rip fence. Take some PVA glue, spread it across the rail, and place it about 1 centimeter away from the back edge. Using a carpenter square and some clamps, you can position this rail in the exact perfect spot. And I actually recommend keeping the carpenter square in place as the glue dries so that nothing shifts. When you first put your Guider Pro on the Proxxon table, don't be alarmed if the lines on the table are not perfectly in line with the guider. Those lines can be placed on the table wrong at the factory. They might not be at a perfect 90 degree angle from the channel. You can check this with a carpenter square. I trust my square and I trust my assembly more than the lines printed by the factory. There you go, guys. That is how to put together a Guider Pro 2.0. I hope that some of the techniques and stuff that I use to assemble it help you in assembling any of the Shifting Lands tools that you may have purchased. These are a little bit tricky to put together. They take some time and they take some effort, especially if you want to put them together square or true so that they are dependable tools. But I think that if you put in that time and effort, you are going to reap the rewards when using them, because they will greatly improve your usage of the Proxxon hot wire table, and they will help you to build better crafts. If you want to pick up some tools from Shifting Lands for yourself, I will put a link in the description to the website where you can purchase them. There is a ton of stuff that they have available. Now, I shouldn't say they, because in reality, it's one guy doing all the work. It is a labor of love, and he builds these tools because he is passionate about this hobby and about this craft. So I highly encourage you to support him and his efforts. He is a great guy and he is doing a lot to serve this community. If you want to pick up any of the other tools or supplies that I use in my builds, like the Proxxon hot wire table, you can go to blackmagiccraft.ca. There I have my essential equipment store, and that's where I link to all of the stuff that I use regularly and recommend, so you know you are purchasing the right thing. Those purchases through Amazon send the channel a small commission that help fund these videos. The other way you can help fund future Blackmagic Craft videos is by supporting Blackmagic Craft on Patreon. Those funds are crucial to keeping this channel alive and well. They allow me to dedicate so much time and effort into making these videos. By supporting the channel on Patreon, you can gain access to the Blackmagic Craft Fellowship, which is a great little community of like-minded crafters building stuff for their tabletop games. It's also a way that you can get direct help and feedback from me. Of course, if you found this video useful, hit that like button, drop me a comment below, hit subscribe if you are not already a subscriber, and until next week, guys, cheers, happy crafting.